I bought a motorcycle on February 8th, rode it for the first time on March 6th, and passed my practical exam on May 20th. Why is it a big achievement? Well, I know people who rode it with a learner's permit for over 1.5 years and still feared the test. And I gotta say, the motorcycle exam in Switzerland isn't easy either. The motorcycle license process in Switzerland works like this. First, you need to pass a theoretical test. After that, you must complete a mandatory 12-hour group basic course. In those 12 hours, they teach you all the fundamentals and you should gain the knowledge needed for the practical exam. The practical exam consists of 2 parts. In the first part, you must complete 3 to 4 maneuvers, for example, riding the figure 8, slalom, emergency braking, or slow riding. If you put your foot down, you fail the maneuver. And if you fail one maneuver, you fail the whole exam. After that, you ride in traffic for about half an hour and the examiner sits on the passenger seat. I started by watching YouTube tutorials. Videos that showed me how the motorcycle controls work and what each button does. Then I watched videos on how to shift gears and how to start riding. Even though the tutorials were well filmed, I still struggled to fully understand everything just by watching. Once you start doing it yourself, it becomes much easier. Of course, you should also understand the basics of cornering and know which road surfaces are slippery or dangerous. The next step was learning how to start riding properly. I went to a remote road near a farm, but a big parking lot works as well. This road even had a slope, so I could practice hill starts. I went there twice just to practice starting and shifting gears. If you struggle with that, just rewatch a tutorial while practicing. I had to do that as well. Once I felt somewhat confident starting and shifting gears, I rode into the city at night when the streets were empty. I did that 2 or 3 times. After I felt comfortable riding in light traffic, I started riding to work every single day. And I mean every day, even when it rained. It might rain on your exam day too. I always rode like it was my exam. Speed limit, following traffic rules, using indicators correctly, positioning properly in lanes, always doing proper shoulder checks. Because of that, I didn't need to change my behavior for the exam. That was simply how I rode. Once I felt like I couldn't improve anymore by just watching YouTube videos, I took private lessons. I recommend starting with double lessons so the instructor can really see how you ride and what you need to improve. Write down your mistakes and only book another lesson after you've worked on them. I took lessons roughly every 2 weeks. At first, I had 2 double lessons and 3 or 4 single lessons. Practice the maneuvers with your instructor as well. At first, I thought I didn't need to, but it helped a lot. They know exactly what the examiners are looking for. My instructor told me that I was usually doing the maneuvers too fast and needed to slow down. In the last 2 lessons, my instructor rode with me as a passenger. Ask your instructor about the typical exam routes. The road traffic office only uses a limited number of routes. Write those routes. Know the streets. Know who has the right of way. Learn the tricky spots. Luckily, the main route was almost the same as my commute to work, just a 15-minute detour. In Switzerland, the road traffic office provides the official maneuver training area. I went there 3 to 4 times a week to practice. Usually, there were many other learner riders there. Talk to them, learn from them, exchange tips. People there are usually pretty chill. At the beginning, I practiced for about 30 minutes each time. Later, once I mastered the maneuvers, I just did them once or twice per session, just to keep the routine and not lose the feeling. My course instructor once told me that in his experience, most riders pass once they reach around 3,000 kilometers of riding experience. So I aimed for that. I had around 2,400 kilometers when I took the exam. But those kilometers need to be useful kilometers. You won't learn much riding 3,000 kilometers on the highway. Ride hilly, curvy roads. Ride in a city where it's more hectic. Every time you go somewhere, take the motorcycle. Meeting a friend? Motorcycle. Going to work? Motorcycle. Groceries? Motorcycle. Motorcycle, motorcycle, motorcycle. Just motorcycle. For the exam, I recommend wearing full gear. Helmet, jacket, pants, gloves and proper motorcycle boots. It leaves a good impression and shows that you take it seriously. You want every advantage you can get. I also recommend not booking the last exam slot of the day. Maybe the examiner wants to go home early. I'm not saying that it will happen, but why take the risk? I also heard rumors about quotas for new riders, but I don't know if that's true. Still, to be safe, I wouldn't book at the very end of a month. If you follow everything I just told you, I guarantee you will have a very high chance of passing. During this time, you're not riding for fun, you're riding to pass. Hard work pays off. So this is how my exam went. I was extremely nervous at the beginning of my exam. It didn't help that I planned a Europe tour in July. My exam was on May 20th, and I knew that if I failed, it would be difficult to get another appointment before July. The maneuver part went great. In my head I was like, I did great. Remember, one mistake and you fail instantly. Then the examiner got on the passenger seat and we started with a hill start. That went well as well. After that, we headed into traffic. We took one of the routes I expected. At some point, we entered a highway where two highways merged. I had to change lanes. For a moment, I stopped checking my speed and was suddenly doing 110 in a 100 zone. I just hoped he didn't notice. Then I approached a road where a 60 zone turns into a 50 zone. I drove that road every single day for 3 months. I knew it changed to 50, but that day for some reason I missed the sign. In my head I was like, where's the 50 sign? I slowed down to 50, but way too late. Then another situation happened. I had to cross a railway. Exactly when I reached the stop line, the lights turned on. I did an emergency stop and ended up 5 meters past the stop line. I couldn't even see the lights anymore. I know I said fuck out loud. I thought I was done. Then the examiner asked me, what do you do while waiting at the railway crossing? I was like, oh yes, turn off the engine. So I turned off the bike. Now I was sure that I'm cooked. I only started riding once again the barriers were completely still because I couldn't see the lights anymore. The guy behind me honked. The audacity, what the fuck? When we got back near to the road traffic office, there was an elderly man just sitting in the middle of the road with his car. Luckily, he saw us and moved away. It felt like so many random things happened during my exam. It wasn't the smooth exam I hoped for. Honestly, I wasn't sure if I passed. Another guy had the exam at the same time. We parked in the same parking lot. My examiner told me to follow him somewhere else so we could talk in private. That's when I really thought I had failed. But fortunately, he passed me. I remember I was full of joy. And the only thing I clearly remember him saying was that I missed the 50 sign and drove 60 in a 50 zone. He told me, if you ride like that, I'll see you again soon. Later, I talked to my instructor and found out that this examiner is very strict. So if he passed me, I must have done many things right. I hope you learned something from this video. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comments. And consider subscribing for more content like this.